I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion or questions, changes? If there is none, we will vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of claims.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or discussion?
The FICO one, is that all done then? The 30,000?
FICO, which one?
I lost it. 63,106. Yeah, that's all done, right? Yeah. That's what I
I think
thought.
it's all. That's the last one that we had, and that's the one that I held on to.
Yeah, that's like a month ago.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It was the one that I waited until,
July.
yeah, okay, it was work that was done in, for those. Yeah,
Okay.
for visual. Stuff.
Good.
And I waited till we had enough. Money to say,
What do your strong associates do for us?
that is the rest of our audit.
Okay, that's
So, and our audit, it was more expensive this year because we had to have a federal audit.
okay.
So, and I'll talk more about that in my report. Hi, Nathan. Hello. Hi.
And the 50,000 was just to transfer because we had a little bit extra?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
And got Paul things off his wish list, so. Everybody was happy.
Okay, is there any other questions? Are we good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment on non-agenda items. Let's see if we have anything. Okay. Communications to and from the board, I don't have anything this month. So we'll move on to the board. Chair's report, and I don't have anything there either, so. Activities director.
Jamie, good evening, nice to see you. Jamie sends her regards and apologies that she couldn't be here tonight. Taylor has an appointment in Salt Lake, she shared. So I have a couple, three things on her behalf to share. First of all, she wanted me to let you know that we have signed the paperwork to withdraw from the co-op with Highwood for girls basketball this upcoming season upon their request to field their own team. Highwood submitted the paperwork. I believe, I apologize, I wasn't here for the June board meeting, and I can't recall if part of her report, she may have given you a heads up that that was in the works. At some point, maybe in one of her emails to the board, yeah, okay. So apparently, basically, we didn't have much, manpower into the submission of the paperwork, whatever, so Highwood pretty much did it all, but they've made that application to the MHSA, so FYI, okay? And then she brought forth, the hires for the coaching for the coming year. And Callie, correct me if I'm wrong, but do I not hire them by category?
Yep.
We just make, I would ask the board for a recommendation to hire the people in the categories as she has, okay? Thank you. So first of all, coaching hires for wrestling, Colby Klein is the head coach, Aaron Jones as assistant. Riley DeBrucker has asked to serve as a volunteer and not be hired by the school district, but he's asking to be hired as a volunteer coach. So I would ask for the board to consider that as a recommendation for David for hires for next year.
So move. I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Sorry, what were the?
Colby Klein for head coach wrestling, Aaron Jones assistant, and Riley DeBrucker, who's been coaching with us, but he's asked to be a volunteer. So he's still gonna help in the program, but he does not want to be hired.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed?
I believe that means that there's going to be
One
a new, we're gonna be asking for an advertising for an assistant wrestling coach.
Can I look or check around and stuff on that too? And
I might know somebody called.
okay,
Yep, we'll have to advertise in-house for 3 days and then put it in the paper.
okay.
So, yeah. Okay, robotics, Brady Farwick is being recommended for the high school robotics coach, Jenna Botts and Mandy Wright recommended as the middle school robotics coaches.
Okay, so we have to do high school separately.
Okay, thank you. So Brady Farwick is being recommended as the high school robotics coach.
So move.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
In the middle school, Jenna Botts and Mandy Wright are being recommended for middle school robotics coaches.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
In cross country, you may recall that we have one paid position for a high school coach, one paid position for the middle school coach. And you might recall that you previously approved our very own Roxy Benjamin to be the head high school, the head coach for the high school cross country team. But Jamie is putting forth Wendy Bird as the assistant, the middle school coach and the assistant to the high school. So Wendy Bird,
All together.
She's actually just the middle school coach, so it's middle school.
but she'll be, so, yeah.
Yep,
So we're only hiring her for the middle school coach,
right.
but she's gonna be assisting, yeah, that's right, thank you.
So it's a middle school hire. So
Yes.
Everyone can vote on it.
Yeah.
So we're just doing Roxy or?
No, just Wendy.
Roxy's already been, just Wendy,
Okay.
just Wendy.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
High school girls basketball, Jamie's putting forth the name of Eric Wellman to be the assistant girls basketball coach.
So moved.
Third.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then finally for middle school girls basketball, Mila Clark, you might recall Mila is the new high school science teacher we've hired, and she got a house. I talked to her today. She's got a place to rent, so that's a big win for her and for us as well. And so middle school girls basketball coaches Jamie's recommending for hire are Mila Clark and our very own Callie O'Hara.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, that's it. Those are the hires. Yeah, thank you for that. The other thing that you see before you, Jamie asked as part of her report, I've given you a copy of the coaching handbook. I did not have time to talk to her about anything possibly for changes. I didn't see this until I just got copies just made for tonight's meeting. So my apologies. I'm not very well versed on the things. Callie, do you have anything in there that you felt like she wanted to highlight or point out to the board?
The only real changes, they're all in yellow. Lots of the things, Jamie and I and Roxy Allen went through it, and Connie deals, Roxy and Connie deal with activities a lot. With Jamie, lots of the things that we changed, used to just say, responsibility of the principal, and we added superintendent in there, because we don't truly have just a high school principal anymore. We felt like it needed to say, responsibilities of principal / superintendent, in case it deferred to either Roxy or Pat. So it just went to superintendent instead of just saying principal, to eliminate confusion. And then,
There was one.
no, go ahead.
The one we talked about on page 9, there was a discussion about coaching evaluations and the
Yep.
timing of those evaluations. And so the wording now reflects the recommendations on coaching contracts were made at the meeting of the Board of Trustees following the evaluations of the prior season. And then coaching contracts are issued. The contracts, so yeah, you know, you can read the rest of it, but that's new verbiage, that she and I did discuss that.
So will the evaluation be done at the end of the season? or-
Yes.
Their season
Yeah.
instead of in May. Cause we felt like, you know, if you had that football coach got done in October and you waited till May,
Yeah,
seemed a little silly. And then when we like looked back through it, that, you know, we've not hired everybody in May, and we looked at this coaching handbook. The way it was worded, it sounded like you hired all of those coaches in May instead of how
Yeah,
she's done it
Yeah.
as their season ends.
exactly.
Cause like, you know, football, when it ends, then she typically gives them like 2 months and then asks them if they want the job again. And then rehires them, cause if we waited till May to rehire everything, that would give us 0 time to try to find people. So we just changed that to the end of season. And then lots of it, there was more things that we just took out because they seemed kind of, antiquated, like coaches will get POs. We don't even use POs anymore because we issue, dual credit cards, cause there's more control and more flexibility with them.
Good old days.
Yeah. And then the only other, like thing I think was, and then we added, some of the, language in there had teams that were left out now that we've added, you know, like FFA. And it used to say girls basketball, boys basketball, girls track, boys track, and so we just took that verbiage out and just basketball, volleyball, you know. I think it was kind of redundant that it said girls volleyball. And it like wrestling said boys wrestling, well, we have girls wrestling now, so we just listed them by sports. And then the other things we changed are like the departure and return from contest. Used to say will travel by school bus only. We added school vehicle in there. On both for the contest and activity strips. Because there are times if we have smaller numbers of students that we take the school car. So it just says school approved vehicle. So it doesn't allow you to like, you know, a coach take their car or a parent take their car. It must be a vehicle that's owned by the school's transportation department. So,
The only other one that I would bring your attention to, that's also going to be in the student handbook, is the discussion had at the policy committee on page 26 and 27 in regard to the Longhorn Code of Conduct. You'll note that the honesty and integrity clause was removed from this policy, because this is the same policy that it appears in the student handbook, and the verbiage was adjusted slightly on page 27 as well, based on the discussion from the board policy committee.
yes, so they now match in both handbooks.
What page is it in the student handbook?
I'd have to, yeah.
Just curious.
'Cause I know Jamie looked them up to make sure that they match.
Page 57
Okay.
and page 61. Anything else about the coaching handbooks you'd like to ask or discuss?
so. So this word honesty and integrity, we're matching those two? Is that,
We're removing both, they're both being removed.
okay, that's right.
Yeah, they're both being the same, that's.
Yeah, they're in different colors in different handbooks,
Yeah.
like they're both being removed, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, but they're both
So
removed.
there's a reason why we're removing them?
The board felt, and I'll let any of the members of the committee discuss that. I think it makes for a difficult situation when to judge who is eligible to be given a bit of grace with that policy, that the
Okay.
committee felt like it was more important to have it be a little bit more black and white, that this is the way the policy is, and that,
It's like am I coming forward and telling you that, hey, I partied this last weekend? Or did this person get caught and they have the opportunity, it's like, hey, this is your one chance to tell us the truth. And it's like, what's the you know, you were caught
Yeah.
or not.
It makes enforcing the policy more difficult.
Or different, exactly, yeah.
Shouldn't be in the hands of the school board though, it should be in the hands of the superintendent. That's his job.
And that was, but that takes it out completely as there's no confusion of you were caught, now you're in trouble, but we're gonna give you the option to use the honesty clause.
Or to change the discipline leader just based on weight, cause then it's up to the person giving the discipline versus like the policy, and it just adds, it was too black or too gray.
Too substantive.
But a parent's not gonna have any recourse. Cause it goes right to the board. Rather than to the superintendent and then to the board.
No, I think it still goes to the superintendent and then the board, but this just gets, I think with this honesty clause. Legally put our superintendent in a bit of a bind, because the parents could come back, well, it's favoritism, because you told Callie's daughter no. And you know Callie, but you told my daughter you're in trouble, and so it takes that liability off the superintendent. And it's like, well, this is the policy, and he enforced the policy, these are the rules, and if you have a problem with how he enforced the rules, you've got to take it to the board.
Okay. The final thing, anything else about the handbook? Going once? So this would be the first reading,
Of the
athletic, the coaching handbook tonight.
yeah.
Okay. The final thing, if you're aware that while I traveled, there was a lot of discussion about the gym and weight room policy. And, the only thing, I'll let you get that in your hands. It was my opinion that, and there was lots of different opinions about the issue at hand, specifically had to do with whether or not we prorate the fee on a monthly basis or some other variation. And it was not clear, that what that fee entitled you to. And so the interpretation that we had prior to the changes you're seeing now in this document in yellow. The interpretation was, we had a request, someone paid a fee last spring of $120, and they would have to renew it the 1st of July. So that they paid a fee for $120 for 3 months, basically, or somebody else that paid in July a year ago was paying $120 for a year. But the policy didn't outline, what is the window of time I'm paying for with that $120? So in the bottom third there, under where it says, by signing this agreement, I agree to pay a yearly fee of $120. The verbiage was added, that this is what we would ask for you to consider tonight. The yearly fob fee will run from July 1st to June 30th. So when you're paying the fee, whatever month of the year you're paying it, runs from the 1st of July to the end of June. Down below, though, we put a caveat that said, upon request, the yearly fob fee can be prorated to $60 for 6 months fob access, which would run from July 1st to December 31st, or January 1st to June 30th. We kicked around, based upon the conversations that you as board members had in this email stream. I read down through that thread a couple different times. Jamie and I met and felt like I had to bring something forward to you. You know, if we can sit here and continue to discuss in general terms what each of us think, but we felt we had to start somewhere. So this is our proposal for you to consider tonight, be it as it may. I recognize from some of the discussion, not everyone may necessarily agree with that approach, and that's fine. But we felt we had to bring something to you, for your specifically to discuss. So these two things highlighted in yellow is what I would ask us to consider additions to this policy and then adopt this policy.
I think it definitely simplifies it, break it into 2 6-month phases, and if you're anywhere in that's, you know, in that, then there's your prorated fee. So I think otherwise it gets really complicated for everybody else.
I do think, and that's what Jamie and I settled on, and we want to minimize, you know, the human capital to have to navigate this policy, and the nice ladies in the business office. But to be clear, there's about less than 10 people who have afforded themselves to this policy now for this in this past year. So it is my opinion, I didn't know what happened before 2 years ago. But I do think that the addition of this policy has minimized, is cut down on the number of people who are using the facility. And maybe that could just be timing. It doesn't necessarily mean the policy has impacted that. So we are talking about truly a small number of people. But. So that's where we are.
I'll make a motion, can we approve it, or is this first reading?
First reading.
Okay. We're just discussing it. So one other question, how much are the fob things?
The actual
Yeah.
fobs themselves.
Yeah.
I would have to ask Carly,
$28.
Okay. Cause that was my only question, like,
they get a card,
or what, yeah, they,
but then we figure in the cost of the system, so the fobs themselves are not terrible expensive. But the technology to run the fobs is expensive,
yeah,
and that's a yearly fee we pay.
okay,
Is that per person or per number of people?
For the number of people per the number of users, yeah.
okay. I guess, because that's where it gets complicated, because if we're saying, it just say it's $40. And we prorate it and guy wants, and so it's $10 a month, and somebody wants to do it for 4 months. And they lose their key every time,
Their fob, yep.
I mean,
The-
we're. The wear and tear, they're not covering any wear and tear on the
They are not
equipment.
covering anywhere in there, and you as a board too, and Jamie, none of that equipment in the weight room is funded, like, there's not funds for that. So any of that
They're from that
equipment in the
general.
weight room is paid for by, tickets to games.
Yeah, and I noticed a new treadmill was on there.
Yep. So anytime, the treadmill and that bike were purchased with grants I wrote specifically for that. So any time you wanna replace anything in there, it comes out of your general fund.
Yeah.
Or, which we obviously aren't rich in that, right? So lots of that money in there, the kids either raise the money for it through, fundraisers, the lift-a-thon. Things like that, so we don't get funding for any of that equipment in there, so as,
Funds,
yeah, so as it breaks down and wears out,
Yeah,
we have to find a way to replace it, and I mean,
these funds that we collected this year. For these 8, 10 people, whatever that paid their fees,
yep,
that went into help some, I mean, I recognize it's
Yep.
not a huge amount of money.
no,
But
but it
that
goes
money
back
would have gone
into that
into
fund,
to
yep,
replace some of it.
yeah.
Yep.
I guess my only, I just wanted to express that if. We can't go below whatever that cost of that fob is, cause then, if they use it for 4 months, lose it, and every year they're coming back to that. That's where I was getting at, if we can, we need to
Yeah.
make sure we don't prorate it down so hard that. We're losing money or, yeah, that was my only.
I think the issue for anyone is the cost of the fob or the cost of the use. I think everyone's willing to do that. I think the policy. Problem is people don't read the fine print.
Yeah.
And there's some misunderstanding when people paid a check. In June, or I don't know, April, May, June.
It was about 3 months.
For 3 months, and then we're asked to pay it again, then it seemed like a lot. I think normal practice would be to prorate it, I mean, it's $10 a month, I don't know, like that's what I would have assumed. If it had been me, that it would have been prorated, so anyway, cutting it in half, I think as long as we're doing something, it's probably fine, and we're communicating it really clearly. It's probably fine, I don't think that's the issue, I think the reason we put this policy in place was to control access and make sure that things weren't getting abused. And it sounds to me like we still have some issues with people having keys and sneaking in back doors, and I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have a discussion about. Do we have enough cameras on the right exterior doors?
But
Do
what
we need to
Jamie,
rekey something? I
what
mean,
Jamie would tell you if she was sitting here is that, that when you change a superintendent, the district's policy is to change the locks. To change
That's obviously
the
really
key, right?
possible.
Yeah.
And
I
you-
have now.
Yeah, so I mean. It'd be the board's prerogative, you could change those anytime, because we feel like there's certainly people out there with keys. And I've been in my office now 2+ years going, sitting in my office and somebody walked in, they didn't fob in, and the door just all of a sudden, they're in. And and it's better now with the fobs, without a doubt, since we've gone to this, I feel it's a lot better. but there's still, unfortunately, there's still doors being propped open and things like that. And I don't know, there's always gonna be rocks to prop, to all, no, all kidding aside, because I oftentimes when I'm here alone on a weekend, I'll take the walk all the way down to the cafeteria, I'll go walk out the back door here by the triangle room and whatever, and just make sure that by the girls' varsity locker room, make sure those doors are all shut. Cause I'd say 70% of the time, one of those doors is propped open. There's a door propped open somewhere. And so, and I don't, it's hard to say if that's kids, it's hard to say if that's adults. I'm not gonna point the finger necessarily, but somebody's propping them open so they can have access to our weight room.
And if
So,
we make this too expensive or too cumbersome or like,
Yeah,
you know, like if people get upset about this policy, it's gonna happen more. People are gonna try to go through the back door.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I just think there's a fine balance there. It's like yeah, let's get some money out of the deal and let's try to control access.
Yeah.
And maybe we should look at making sure there's nobody coming in.
It's gotten better.
I
It's
think,
gotten
I
better.
think so. Don't you think it's gotten better, Russ? Access, don't you think it's gotten better? In general?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
so we have the key, we have everything to rekey the doors?
The cores, we have the cores to retool the doors.
Some massive undertaking.
Yeah.
So it's, who would do that? I just asked.
Well, it might be
You have
like
to
that.
understand when we do that though.
Yeah, no, I was just asking, that's understood.
When we do that, then every teacher, and this is the time to do it. Because then when they come in, they get their new key.
Yeah.
And so if you do it in a half year, which we have. I started in, we were at 5. And I'm on 11. So this will be the 6th or 7th time that I record. So those keys become obsolete that they have, or they can pound them out and make a fishing week. Because they always ask me to want them back, they're no good. But he's right, normally when we change, that's the first
Yeah.
thing that's done, and as soon as that was in transition, I already made the move to get new cords, you send them in and they rekey them. They're sitting there, it's just a directive of, well, when we need to do it.
How
So
many
they're
doors do you
ready.
have
Huh?
to do? How many doors do you have to do every?
60. There's 60 cords.
Wow.
Jesus.
It's not an expense at this point, it's manpower.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have the cores, so it's man.
I can do it in a half a day or less. It just, if you want it done and the directive is, then I will do it. You just have to tell me when.
If coaches have fobs, why do they need keys?
Because we lock the balls up and their uniforms are locked up. And the training room door gets locked now.
And they're all in one master key.
No, those are a different key.
So they wouldn't need a key for their front doors.
Well, yes and no.
Room is locked. sometimes.
So
The weight room, we lock that sometimes too.
But can't we have a different lock?
if they get into a situation when they get home and the fob was not to work and it's very cold out, they have a key to access. And then most of them,
Use
this
that.
door back here where they're going through the training door a lot, they'll use that outside key.
Or if a kid forgets something in the bus barn, you need a key, and that's the same.
60.
I'd say let's kick that can a little bit, but I think it's something for us to consider for a future.
So the coring then will be done, before school starts, right after the August board meeting. And that way, when the teachers get here, they will have a new key.
I think there's some wisdom in that. Plan for it. Think about it. Mr. Rule, yeah.
Be prepared, you'll get phone calls then. That's
Right,
why
not
their
having-
key's not working.
Well, it's okay though.
It's okay.
Bring that
Yeah.
to the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think not see this year
Yeah.
and irritated.
So back to this policy. If this is a recommendation we're making for us to adopt. So if you use this as the first reading without making any other recommendation, that this is what you would vote on next board meeting. So I understand that to work. Okay? So,
Was there any decision about retroactively doing this for the 3 people that paid for the partial year.
We did, the person that, I have a meeting on Thursday with the last person that communicated concern about this, that practice. And that person was told at that time, when Jamie spoke with that person, that they would not be refunded, nor would that money be transferred to the new year. Because it wasn't clear that that's what our practice was going to be, and yeah, that's the call she made, and, I support that, so if you as a board wanted to do something different, we could make that decision could be made right now, but I would not, I recommend that we stay, because that's what the verbiage in the policy was. It wasn't, you said it yourself, Joe, it wasn't clear, in fairness, but. I agree.
I feel like it's 3 people, we could do them a kindness by refunding them $60.
Or they could donate $60 to the
Or
school.
you could choose to donate $60 to the school.
Well,
But if
it's
it's,
privilege of using that.
Yeah.
It's $60.
I agree.
I think the
I just
issue is
don't like there being
communication
ill will about it.
was
Yeah.
very poor.
But a lot of other taxpayers out there that are, oh, don't use the system and are gonna pick up the slack for the wear and tear probably on the equipment. I think it's $60 is going to a good cause, so. I think leave it alone. It wasn't written that way. Now we're gonna put this in here. Beat it down the road. That's my opinion.
Now, kind of like a community entity, I don't think that we went about it as like. Well, it wasn't meant to be a business. It's not a business, but as a community, a place for the community. I think, we probably should help those few people that do use the school out. Use it to prorate it for them, make them happy so they continue to, so we can get some wear and tear monies, keep them happy. They might be boosters, who knows?
I guess I just feel it as a trial run this year. I mean, it was a new policy, new thing we did, and I don't know if maybe we could have been more clear up front. But yeah, $60 is not the end of the world, and I don't think that's not the issue. I think there might be some concern about our policy and how we communicate it. It might be a good idea. That's my thoughts, but.
I agree. That's my feeling.
There were 3, to Joellen's point, there were 3 people that paid during the course of the year that would have a refund of some kind coming?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
There's
apologize,
really 4, but there's one that was like, oh well,
yeah,
so there's only 3 that want.
the most recent one was the one I guess I was most aware of, I guess I hadn't really thought about that.
In this meeting, is it something where we could, make a handshake agreement where, hey, you're next, this next year, instead of 120 it's 60, and we just keep that, and it'll even out.
Yeah.
Unless you're like,
Well,
no,
they make
we're
it
gonna
agreeable,
be
don't
leaving.
Then there's gonna be the next person that comes and wants something different, and the next person that comes and wants something different.
It's policy.
Policy is policy.
I think if you wanted to consider that, what you're going back to the word that Joellen uses, that you'd be asking that to make this policy retroactive. So that those people who came in April that paid $120, we'd say, we would give you'd pay 60, because that's what the new policy is, and then we can transfer your 60. I mean, if you're gonna wanna do something like that, then I think you let the policy that I handed you be what you use as the retroactive piece, and then that's what the new policy is moving forward.
Okay, yeah.
So if it's your pleasure to do that, then you would, I guess, just you'd have to make a recommendation to the board. Because it wasn't clear in any way, and I don't fault Jamie for making the decision she made, because it's more clear now with the wording, and she was kind of stuck in a tough spot, and I think that she made the right decision based on the verbiage it said,
Right.
so.
And don't we have to kind of support her too?
I don't know that I don't think she'd feel unsupported,
Okay.
because it wasn't clear, she would support whatever what you as a board feel, but
We all would support what you as a board tell us, and you guys just need to tell us which one. We say yes.
Yep, so if we were going to do it, someone would make a motion.
Yep, to make it retroactive, and then I could issue those individuals their refunds,
I would make that motion.
so we just need to know what to do.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that?
so to be clear, what you're recommending is what the verbiage is, so someone who has asked to pay a membership fee within that 6-month window, as it's outlined now, they would have only had to pay $60 versus 120. And if they paid outside, so before January 1st, they have to pay 120. Between January 1st and June 30th, they're allowed to pay 60.
Yeah, we typically wouldn't make a motion on a first reading, but I would basically make a motion that we accept your recommendation as stated. And also accommodate retroactive.
Okay.
Reimbursement.
I
for
just
those
I just
people.
want clarity,
Yeah.
so.
Client retroactive.
In particular, the clarity helps me when I have a meeting I'm about to have on Thursday. And to be fair,
Right, and how the claims and stuff work, they won't actually receive their refund until you guys have already voted on it. So, cause all of the checks and the claims don't get mailed out until the day after the board meeting, so it would all somewhat line up.
They would have to pay their FOD fee for this next year before they actually would get that $60
Correct.
reimbursement.
Yeah,
So we couldn't just roll it, like, we can't just take their $60 and add it, tell them to pay 60 and that's 120.
well, or they could, I guess we could do that.
See, that's where.
That's where it gets
I was
really
trying to be like,
So to me, to keep things cleaner because of how it states in the policy,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Okay.
issue them their check. And then if they wanna turn around and pay again, otherwise I think
I think
it
that's just.
doesn't follow the policy.
Yeah,
It's
and I know we're,
like redundant and a lot of busy work, but I think if you're gonna follow policy and stick with it, that's what we've gotta do. Is retroactively give them the money back for the
Yeah.
last year and then this year. And then when I get audited, it doesn't look like I was rolling forward stuff into different years, because technically that was last year's business, and
No.
last year's over. And now we're on to this year's fiscal year.
Gotcha.
can't do stuff in good faith in business.
Nope. Not in the item strong. No,
Not when you're audited.
So,
no.
I'm sorry to kind of frame it, but there was a
You're good.
motion of the second were made, so.
Yep.
This motion is strictly for the $60 reimbursement.
We're up to 4 people.
Three.
Okay, the fourth one is the,
It would be for everybody who
Everybody
had
that
less
paid.
than
6
6-month
months.
membership. I think it's only
Yeah,
3
let's not
people.
put a number on it.
I just,
Yeah, okay, it's only really effective.
Any other
So does
discussion?
this adopt the policy too? I'm confused.
That's what I was questioning.
Well, the original policy is adopted, the changes are not.
Yeah, the changes would be considered a first reading this time.
So what are we voting on?
The
I'm
$60,
confused, we can't do that until
I guess you can't.
we can't vote until we,
Retroactive.
yeah, because this is the first reading of it, right? So we can.
So it won't be
Vote on
anything
anything.
until after the second reading.
Yeah. And I guess when you, I guess when you do the second reading, they wouldn't receive that claim check until the next day anyway, so.
So we might as well just not vote until the next second reading.
Correct.
Just so we're doing it for the next.
Cause I can't issue a claim or a refund in the middle of a month.
I move to kill the motion.
I can withdraw my motion.
Yes.
I can hold it for next month.
Okay,
There we go.
again, that's still helpful for me with my discussion on Thursday, so thank you for that. Okay, I think that's, Jamie, again, thank you for your grace and letting her not be here she wasn't able to be here tonight. And she said she would hope to see you in August or if not before. And that ends the activities director report.
Thank you.
So maintenance and custodial.
A lot of things going on, so I'll try to go as fast as I can here. We have a great summer crew, Larry and Brooke, Danny, Jackie and Corey, and they're doing a great job. If you come into the school, you'll see stuff out of the rooms and, they're working over in the shop on this end and down there, they're trying to keep up with, the maintenance that's going on in the hallways and stuff like that, but, it is something to see them tear apart a room and then put it all back together and really, really deep clean it, so this next fall, when we get ready to go, everything is, really super clean and we're ready to go. Up here, we have a couple more rooms and then, pretty much the hallways and stuff like that is normal. Onto the projects, the electrical project, the switch over is the week of July 21st to 25th. It moved over a week because Northwest didn't have the right crew. Everything is in place to move it swiftly. They've been informed many, many times that the month end is within reach and that the coach can't be out the next week. And, Liberty has done a great job of getting everything in place and, setting on premise and ready to go. Northwest will be in on, the very morning of the 21st and start their process of bringing new line in from the far side of the property over there by the old port. And, they'll bring in their line, and as soon as it's in there, at the same time, Liberty will be in here tearing apart the boxes and have them ready to go when the new line is. Casey Anderson did the excavating and the slab work, and Liberty was very, very pleased with him. They'd like to use him more often because he's very precise in what he did and how it was all handled. And so everything that's going on at the high school right now in the electrical switchover is in order. And July 21st, 25th, we're shutting everything down. There will be no fobs. So if they're in here, there is no lights. We've asked everybody just to kind of stay away and stay out. Because there's no lights and music boxes and stuff in the weight room, and that's a liability. The plumbing at the elementary is in full swing. There's 4 guys down there today. Last couple days, they've taken everything apart and, pretty much gutted out everything on the north end, which would be everything from probably the library around the primary wing. They took a whole load of scrap out of there. And, they still have a little bit. Their demo is 90% on that end of the building. They have purposely, that was the way we had set it up so that we could get that done and the bathrooms going on the primary end. And if there was anything down on that other end to do, the older kids can, move down. And if that was during school time, so they're concentrating on the north end and all the primary. If you go in there, it's chaos. There's stuff all over the place and the toilets are full and they're resetting the toilets. And I mean, they've got it handled. The gym, underneath the gym, they pulled all the pipes and, we just got the sprinkler system going today. They were short a couple valves that were had to come from Chicago by a horse. And we finally got that in and. But it was in a parade first. So anyhow, they're trying to get the restrooms going. And the gym is like 90% complete underneath there. They had 2 more pipes to run and then the gym would be complete on that side of the building. And those restrooms and showers will be going off of the heaters and stuff like that. Again, it's moving along really fast. Engineering, Tony and Gary are here and, are on the phone or, we're working it out. I'm there quite often, going through the plan and, there's a lot of sign off and there's a lot of give and take on what we can do and what they want to do and how to do it. And of course, that was the responsibility that we wanted to take and if I'm monitoring that a lot. But it's progressing to me, it started out kind of slow and now that they've got a handle on the tear out and everything like that, I think we're doing really good with 4 guys in there. There's guys that are moving around and, they're all separated out doing different things. And so, and again, the upstairs bathroom, is gonna be one of those things that they're gonna wait on. They're trying to get that downstairs right by the gym because we need that for practice. And so they're trying to get that all isolated and get that done first, and then they'll move upstairs and get that bathroom up there. It's not as critical. And then down on the, other south wing. The girls up here, we started, started the demo on the walls for Craig to come in. He got all of his parts ordered. They should be here this week. The stainless steel plates ordered. And we hope next week that we're working on the showers. The demo is going pretty good. It's a mess, but, it's saving a lot of money by not having somebody else come in and do it. So, showers are at hand. We've got ready to put the sink on, got a handle on all of that. So when we get done with this locker room, it'll be back to where it should be and should have been a long time ago. It'll be worthy of the girls going in there, taking a shower and having our guests in there, during ball games. So, and we've got some tile cleaner coming and Larry knows that he's got his hands full to get the tile clean and stuff like that. But we're progressing on that project right now. The elementary staff, Brennan, as the liner parts, they're ready to come out. We're still waiting for a mason to go up and take off the top 6 feet. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this, if they cannot find anybody, I've told them that I will, if they get everything in order, that I would go up there. If Billy Brennan would come out, the owner of Brennan or his son James would come out, that I would go up there with them and take off the top 6 feet and put the cap on it and point it. So, not a job that needs, that I will do it. I can do it. I'm very skilled at it, but, if we can't find anybody, we need to get it done. So it's gonna be a matter of renting a lift and going up and taking care of it. And I reluctantly put my name in the hat, but there's nobody else to do it. And, we need to get that done this summer. That can't wait until October. So if it really comes down to it, we get into a push here, that one of the Brennans will come out and go up there with me. I will instruct and we will get it taken care of. So that is progressive. High school heaters, I have the contracts I'm gonna give to Callie. She can now sign those and forward those to FICO. They are awaiting the signatures on those. They were told that they had to wait until into July. They will order those. Once those contracts get there, they will schedule in the demo and they hope to be out here in 2 weeks and do the demo on the 2 heaters. And have everything in the crawl space ready for the new heaters, which they did before. And that way, when they get the new ones here, there's not a whole bunch of downtime tearing the old ones out. Cause that's gonna take 3 or 4 days per heater. The outside, we're still mowing and keeping up on that. Working on the teacher requests as much as possible. Gym floors refinished at the end of the month, so the gyms will be closed. And on that note, Larry is gonna go down to the elementary, we're gonna close off, they're gonna get that gym done this week. And then Larry's gonna go down to the 21st and start on that gym floor because we have no power up here. And they have a few things left out in the shop that they could do that week, but they're gonna go down there and refinish that gym floor. So we're gonna be closing that down just a little bit earlier than normal, but nobody's usually down there anyhow, and with the work going on. It's just gonna be that way. Larry's gonna go down and refinish that gym floor earlier. Working on pricing on, redoing the sewer over by the cafe. We reached out to Craig and had a gentleman over that day, give us a price on. We haven't got everything put together, but what we're looking at possibly doing, and I think I talked to Brant about this, is redoing the sewer out of the cafe and going out towards the greenhouse and taking a right-hand turn and going out to Main Street. It ends up to be 90 feet and putting in a new sewer out of that and putting in a grease trap there instead of paying $400 to $500, 4 or 5 times, sometimes more a year to get that sewer routed out. Every time it plugs up, it's going out 140 feet from there all the way around past the fact room corner. You're running an 1.5 line, 140 feet, and your elevation drop is about 24 inches. So you're not dropping much. It plugs up just off of the lunches. And so we're looking at that. We're exploring it. We'll have a price. And then, of course, a couple trees to get trimmed and Nothing else is going on, that's about it. Yep, that's it. And.
That's it.
That's
it, Mr.
Not pushing.
Checkmate.
And time for my nap.
Hi, yep, you can go to bed now.
Questions?
Thank you.
I'd like to help out on the chimney, timing works out.
What's that?
I'd like to help with the chimney if it works out, but I don't know if it's gonna work out. So
Well, that's one of those,
let me know.
I'm good at it. I'm can do rock work, it's just. I didn't want to.
Sounds interesting.
I'm not.
Sounds interesting.
Well, I know, it's just not, I didn't want to do that, and there, one of the guys that they had wanted to come out, he wanted to put scaffolding up on the roof, and go all the way, with scaffolding all the way around, and I told Gary, I said, the hell are we talking about? Let's go for the manless and slide them off, easy, take them out one at a time, and he goes, no, they afraid you're gonna go down, I said, you're gonna still clean the bottom out in here. So they wanted to put a scaffolding up like a normal mason would do.
Yeah.
And have, 40 hot guys walking down there on the grill and throwing the hot at it. Anyhow,
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Russ.
I know, I'm not sure, I feel like I have a very short report. I know, I made no piece of paper for you guys. But it's been awesome kind of keeping up with the changes, with the summer cleaning crew and the construction projects at the elementary school. The summer cleaning crew's been doing amazing, like pulling all of the things out of the classrooms, just like Russ said, power washing the chairs. We love it. Teachers are happy when their classrooms are clean. I'm very excited. And I think a lot of my staff too has been attending some of the Golden Triangle classes. And so that's always exciting because they bring new ideas and they're excited about it, so I'm excited about it. So, and we're happy to have Mr. Wool back. Yeah. And other than that, we'll be gathering volunteers for the Mason project. I think the cross country team would love to help out.
Sure.
Yes,
Cool.
we'll bring the 12 middle schoolers that we have. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about the elementary school? We have a hire coming up later. We'll hire Teresa Giuliani. I believe she's on the agenda.
Hired your luck.
Hired her last month. Great. Welcome to summer. Okay. Thank you. With that, namaste. Yep.
By the way, that's what Hartford,
Namaste. Yes.
minute 30.
Okay, I'm up. I have before you two handbooks. One is the faculty handbook. Not a lot of changes in the faculty handbook. There is, some information, changes off page 5. We had to advertise, who the Title IX coordinator, which is me, et cetera. And, we had to post this piece about, employee non-discrimination. Those are just things that we have to, are mandated to do. As you look through here, there are a change with the middle school students on page 13 with phones. We had, this is why I have such short hair right now. You might recall that, I made a deal with the middle school kids and they pulled their phones about the last 5-6 weeks of school. And then, Elijah was kind enough to cut my hair. And they, kind enough, was he kind enough? Okay, he cut my hair at the end of the spring as a way to say, good job for doing what we asked you to do. And we intend to not allow the middle school students to have their phones again next year and debate what to do with the high school kids. So far, we're gonna let them have their cell phones, but we're tucked at the doors with the phone holders. So, so that's one on page 13. Emergency situations, if you go to page 18, you might recall, page 16, building security. Remember that during the school year, we've begun to use Emergent 3. We haven't had much of a chance to practice. We're just in the process of it's just taken time to train staff and connect our school to the community, the sheriff's department, for example, emergency responders and that kind of thing. And so we're just in the process of, but that's all staff would have to have that emergency on their phone, and we're getting quite far along with it. But that need to be something we added to the handbook as well. The rest of it's pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy. Okay, so this tonight will be the first reading of the middle school, high school faculty handbook. Okay, the other one for your attention is the student handbook. Again, I pointed out before the Longhorn Code of Conduct that was discussed, there was a discussion there regarding the piece on page 57 that matched up with the coaches handbook. other than that, a lot of the, and you'll note that. Should have looked at some of these things before, there's some changes made to student council, homecoming responsibilities, just as we grow and, different advisors and whatever, so there's been some of that slight change, you'll see that on page 51. You might recall that I brought to your attention before about the, honor roll. We didn't have a chance to really fully implement that last year, but the honor roll and the Bridge Award, so those will be fully implemented this coming school year, that verbiage is now in here. Yeah, that's on page 12. I was talking about page 12, the honor roll and the Bridge Award. We added an additional class in the social studies category in page 13, a couple things that are kind of exciting. And for social studies, we're allowed to by OPI and Ms. Brown wanted to teach it, so we're allowing a grade 10 student to take world history or world geography as an option. It gives us a little more, instead of just, the only option we've had in the past has been world history, but we're allowed to, OPI allows us to have those options, history or geography. And then Mila Clark, I mentioned before, if you look down, we're gonna offer American Sign Language. As a language offering, we'll actually have a live teacher, which is pretty cool. And there's been some really great interest amongst the students. We had 4 or 5 kids this last year taking American Sign Language online. And we had one student who was taking it from a different company than what all our rest of our kids take, which is Edgenuity. And the Edgenuity class was okay.
It was difficult.
It was difficult. Any of those language classes, when you don't have a live person, the other student who got the ball rolling, I will give him credit for, with the whole idea about taking a sign language class. His class would cost more money, but I think he got a better product. He got a better bang for his buck, if you will. And so when we interviewed Mila, and she said that she was like to teach that class. We said, oh man, this is a great opportunity. And so I think that's gonna be a pretty popular offering. So we're very excited to have that, actually have a live person being able to teach that. That's pretty unique, I think, I'd be hard pressed to find another school in Montana that has somebody that's teaching sign language in their school. I'm sure maybe the bigger schools do.
I think the kids had a lot of fun with it,
I think they-
especially where we have students with deaf parents. Yeah, Michael took it and had a great time, other than she would ask the other boys for help.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's not how you say that. And then Michael's like, well, I'm gonna go talk to Jake. And he'd be like, that's not how you say that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. The other thing I would point out, where there's a lot of yellow, is on page 43. And you might recall at a previous board meeting, we discussed the issue of Saturday school. But what happened is that when you look at the bottom of page 42, we inserted Saturday school into our discipline grid, the things tools we would use. If students made a choice that requires a response from the administration, in this case myself, students were assigned Saturday school. And we had it listed there as Saturday school, but what we missed is the grid on page 43. So when it said number 3, I'm looking at that page thinking, oh, this kid could be assigned. When I met with a parent, I'd say the kid be assigned Saturday school. When you go to this grid, and if you're using this as a tool, it didn't match up correctly. The previous number 3 was what was number 3. Saturday school wasn't that number 3, if that makes sense. Anyway, so Amy Hansen, God bless her, she went through and changed all that up, and we added Saturday school now to this table. That's why everything is in yellow. So everything moved forward, right? And it's just a progression. It's the way, I've always in my career responded to issues related to discipline, that we start with a conference, we start with something simple, and Saturday school is sort of that intermediary between something after school or detention of some kind and suspension. And suspension's not foolproof, but Saturday school I find is a really good tool to avoid the kid, because sometimes the kids who are earning those kinds of consequences can't afford to be out of class. And so it helped, and I'm often here on Saturday anyway, especially when there's a ball game or something, and so we put them to work usually, as I may have mentioned before, but anyway, so that's what that's all about, all that yellow on page 43. Those are the big ones to kind of mention. You'll see some, again, off and on, some verbiage things that we've updated, nothing earth shattering, really to report there. If, as you kind of glance through this before the August board meeting, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate. I'm around now, I'm working. and checking email a little more frequently, and so I'd be happy to respond.
Are we just gonna have one vote on all of these, 1 second reading vote? Like, I know we technically could have our second reading vote on the election, but.
We have to do the second vote on each of them individually, don't we, or do we do them as a lot?
You can do middle school, elementary together and the rest of them together. The other board members it.
The faculty and the coaches as one, is that what you mean?
Yeah. And faculty, student, coaches and high school go together.
Yep.
And then elementary. And the middle school, high school handbook.
Middle school, high school handbooks.
Together, so. The board there has to want to do that.
Mr. Holt, I had one question.
Sure.
I was talking to a couple parents this weekend about in passing dual enrollment classes.
Yeah.
And they said that the school is limiting dual enrollment for whatever reason. Is that wrong? I recall a discussion about that.
Limiting it.
Yeah. They thought that they were limiting dual enrollment because of it was taking away from something or other, but I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I would. That is a word that I don't recall a
Yeah.
discussion this last year where we were limiting access to dual enrollment, we.
Somehow it got out there, so.
We do have a rule about it not, like when in the younger grades, right, they can't replace a core class.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Like you can't take a dual enrollment history class because we offer history.
If
Like,
you
it's not
offer the
like-
class, you have to take it in person.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's.
And
maybe
during
that's what it-
COVID, some of that got allowed and it's against the rules.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
policy.
probably where the confusion is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if the parent that specifically spoke to you, I would have them call Tanner Martin,
Yeah,
honestly, but I'm gonna have a conversation with Tanner upcoming, I'd be happy to ask her and I can feed back to you.
yeah. And I didn't see anything in the student handbook, so I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
So,
I
okay,
we,
I recall a discussion about it, but
yeah, again, the word limiting is the one that catches me a little bit up.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure that,
I thought it hurt my interest too.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. The only thing I have left to share with my report is again, just to thank you as a board for the opportunity to serve the Fort Benton Public Schools. I did my trip to go see my wife and I got to visit the school where I worked previously, whatever. And there's lots of evidence to suggest that this has just been such a good fit for me personally. And I can't begin to thank you enough for the opportunity to serve. And I feel it's a real privilege to work here. And I'm really grateful. I hear the stories my buddies tell me about student behaviors and that kind of thing. And I think we're very grateful. I'm just very grateful. I think we're really blessed to have the people we have working here and the kids that we have in our school. So again, thank you. Just wanted to conclude by thanking you for the opportunity to continue to serve for another year. That's it.
Fun.
Sorry.
More fun.
Okay, Callie.
Okay. I don't have very much. You can go to the end there, the pink sheet, and see how we ended our year. We eked it out, so we, I don't know, that's the most stressful month ever. Making sure you get everything done, and I feel like I'm getting better at it. You're number 5, of making sure I'm not leaving anything on the table that I wasn't supposed to. So we were able to make our interlocal transfer and you can see it in there. In 229 there and 282. If you go down to 282, next month you'll see that in there that we were able to make our transfers. We made our transfer from our elementary school transportation to our high school. And so then we were able to transfer a small amount then that you guys approved me to our interlocal funds. So that all worked out well. And the only other thing that I am working on is now that our levies have been approved, and we're starting our new year, I need to redo our intercap loan for the full levied dollar amount. Cause we had that small intercap loan, and now I can get an intercap loan for the full levied amount. And remember, your intercap loan is like, it's a line of credit. So just because we get the, intercap loan for that full dollar amount, doesn't mean we need to use it. And so then I feel like as funds come in, and if we needed it, we can use it and then pay it back as our funds come in, so that we're not hit with any unnecessary interest on that, but just that we have it if we need it. But I think the timing of the projects is gonna be pretty steady, and I think it'll hopefully all work out. So the only real, and the next, board meeting will be my big long meeting, because it'll be the budget meeting and all that other fun stuff. So the only things I really have are some obsolete property. And we have a, elliptical in the weight room that nobody uses, that we'd like to offer up for obsolete property. If that, so you guys have that.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
All those in, discussion. All those in favor,
I,
opposed,
And then the sale of that will go back into, the gym fund. Or, the weight room fund. And I'm sure as the cleaning crew keeps cleaning, I might end up with more obsolete property. So. That's it.
Can I point something out? Russ mentioned that the power's gonna be out there the 21st to the 25th. The ladies are working in the business office. I'm gonna be working that week, but we're just gonna be working off campus. So if you need, we're still gonna be responding to emails and that kind of thing. We just won't physically be on campus, okay? Just FYI.
And at first I said, where do you guys go down in the elementary? And I didn't realize that the internet is hooked the high school at the elementary, so that's out, so.
Yes, there's no internet anyway, but we'll be at Connie's house. Connie thought we should go to my house, but that's way too far if I need something from my office, so we'll be at Connie's house,
Yeah.
which, so I mean, it's just across the street. Especially recycling, so that fund was started, and it's in the activities, account. That fund actually was started by the fabulous Roxy Allen, and it's still maintained by Roxy Allen. She takes and collects phone books from the community and school, and you see all the piles of phone books at the post office. We collect all those and we take them up to the recycling plant, and they give us money for them. And so all that money in there is from her doing recycling those phone books, and we use that account then for our students in need. So anytime we have a student that can't pay their activity card, or a student that needs basketball shoes, or a student who needs gym shoes, or coats, or gloves, or hygiene products, or can't pay their Chromebook fee, or can't pay their lunch fees because their parents failed to fill out their lunch, or anything like that. Teachers submit requests to us for, the student needs this, or this student didn't come with school supplies. And then we have our teachers or faculty go out and buy what that student needs, and then it comes out of there.
That is
Pretty
awesome.
nice fun.
Yep.
That's, yeah, kind of jumped out of me, like.
Yep, and then sometimes for teacher appreciation, we'll pay for our teachers' stuff out of there too.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, so that is all Roxy Allen money.
That's awesome.
That over the course of however many years she's been here. She
Yeah.
puts that together, and then,
50 cents a phone book, and we packed that car. We put them in the glove box, we put them in the engine compartments to get them in there to get a trip.
yeah, she runs around and
Yep, it's amazing how she takes those to Great Falls and we pack them in that car.
the
and we
student
go.
council helps us collect them up. I know we employed a lot of boys this year to help us pack them up. Well, Addie did a lot of it.
Yeah.
God bless her. And she was like, I gotta take my pickup today. The post office is angry. Like, yeah, there's a lot. So, so don't throw your phone books away at the post office. They're usually a box and they'll collect them for us. Or even like your Three Rivers phone books that if you get them that aren't from Fort Benton, if you bring them into our office, we usually have a box. And, yeah. Yeah.
Thing passes in.
So next on the agenda is committee reports. We already discussed
Yeah.
these policies,
Yeah.
so we're
I
good.
was double, first there,
Okay, we schedule meetings with that, on that one of
We
the.
can. There needs to be a committee meeting.
Dusty mentioned that there was a bunch of policies that came out from. that
yeah.
we're gonna-
MTSBA, I think we probably should, yeah.
So he said we were gonna need to get a meeting for that. He's out all of this week, but he will be back next week, but he works Monday through Friday, and I think he can make it to Fort Benton by 7. So I don't know what everyone else's schedule is.
Should we drop that off? We drop it for harvesting or anything?
No, he does not have any impacts with harvest this year, so. I don't know, Joellen might. I don't. I mean, I do, it makes it work, so.
I would just,
Could I possibly request maybe that first week in August? The week before the board meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be fun.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Yeah, you're good waiting for
Oh, wow.
a while, I think.
Okay.
4 days.
I don't, there was nothing in there that when I felt was earth shattering.
I didn't think so either.
I was thinking, but
So do we do it before?
before the August board meeting,
Yeah, maybe 4 instead of weeks before.
yeah, I could, we'll need to double check with us, you can get here in time, but.
I would say
Yeah.
there's quite a few, so we should at least give it an hour, I would think, if you're gonna do it that night. My opinion, I mean, don't you think, Kelly? I mean,
So 6 o'clock on August 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we needed a personnel committee as well. We've had one for a while, number one,
no,
personnel.
we remember who's on it.
What do we do there?
Contracts.
But you guys, when
It was a chief of that.
you're on.
Yeah.
Rel and myself. Are
I'm
you
on
on
there,
personnel?
Will,
Yes.
and then Jenny, Joel, and Kyla.
yeah,
What's specifically on the agenda for that? Like, is it time pressing? Or can it wait till after school starts?
I think it's another one of those things that. You know, we're all busy, so I think whenever we can get it in, I don't know, pressing, I don't know if that's the, I don't know. I think sooner the better, but again, from first part of August onward, for me, is always gonna be better, but I'm gonna be around off and on, but, I'm going to a conference at the end of August, end of July, and, that week, the 21st to the 25th, we don't have electricity, so you can wait even till, if you wanna wait till after the August board meeting, is that what you're thinking? You said school starts, but
I'll be harvesting through most of August probably, so I'm just trying to
fair, that's fair.
limit my trips.
No, that's fair. You wanna take it even?
Like at 5:30 before the policy meeting.
On what day?
the
12th.
12th.
Yeah,
I probably can't make it that, at 5:30 on that day.
that's fine.
A little early.
Or we can wait. too.
Why don't we put it on the agenda for next month? Can we do that? Sure. Put it on the agenda for next month and then we'll schedule it then.
That was,
Put it in the future agenda.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay,
I'm anticipating a resignation, but I don't have it tonight. And, Russ and I are we're anticipating, you might recall that Larry, resigned, but then was willing to work this summer. But we rehired him, but he's intending to finish at the end of August. And so we have opened up, the position is opened up, high school custodian. And we believe we have 2 applicants. I just told Russ that today. I didn't know that. I didn't know I had a second one, but I was told today we may have a second one, so. But sometime next week, we're gonna maybe consider, we're gonna look at those and consider what to do, how to proceed. So, that's something I can report about. Possible resignation has nothing to do with this, the custodian, but, I won't know until, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
No more hires, we're good?
No.
Cool. Future agenda items.
Personnel meeting, second reading of the gym use policy and second reading of handbooks.
Great.
Yep. Okay, so I think that's everything. We need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you. Let the person sunshine.